Let me tell you about the day a luxury SUV blocked my old pickup at the mailbox and changed the fate of an entire community, and not in the way anyone expected. I mean, some days you get cut off at a stop sign. Other days the universe pulls up in a silver Range Rover, parks sideways, and decides you're about to get a front row seat to your own revenge story. And let me tell you that ride. It's bumpy loud, full of potholes and engine smoke, but damn if it doesn't deliver at the end. The morning air was sharp enough to slice, sunlight bouncing off every bit of chrome. I'd barely even killed the engine when out came Helena Whitmore, Queen Bee of Maplewood Estates, clicking down the driveway in heels that cost more than my monthly mortgage, diamonds flickering with every swipe of her hand. She didn't bother with a hello. Just gave my battered Ford a look that said I'd already failed her little test, lips curling in that tight, practice smile people use when they want you to feel small. "Could you move this project truck?" she says, sweet as antifreeze, flashing a violation sticker like it's an invitation to the country club. Maybe park it at the trailer park down the road? Every word was a little jab, and the way she pressed that orange sticker onto my window, you could tell this wasn't about rules. It was about power. Some people get authority from a job title, some from money, but her? It was cruelty. Simple as that. Now, I wasn't in the mood for a fight. Not yet, just clutching this thick envelope from Morrison Estate Legal Affairs. That name, bold as brass on the return address, must have caught Helena's eye, too. For a split second, I swear something flickered in her look. Not just annoyance, but maybe a little fear. I muttered, "This land looks so familiar," like I was talking to myself, but I could feel the weight of my grandfather's old brass key in my pocket, pressing into my thigh, like it wanted to remind me not to roll over just yet. Helena strutted back to her fortress of designer homes, tossing a final line over her shoulder. "I trust we understand each other," and then vanished behind a wall of manicured hedges. But that look she gave my legal envelope, that was the look of someone who has secrets. And if I know anything from growing up around folks like Helena, secrets tend to leak out the minute you poke them. My grandpa always used to say, "Jake, they might buy houses, but this will always be Morrison land." For years, I thought it was just old man stubbornness, some bit of nostalgia for a world that had already moved on. But standing there, watching sunlight bounce off Helena's little kingdom, it didn't sound so sentimental anymore. It sounded like a warning. Back at my place, I tore open that envelope. Heavy paper, official seals, the kind of thing that means trouble. Grandpa's voice echoed in my mind. "Never sign anything when they're being nice to you, boy." I'd always thought he was talking about car salesmen, not real estate sharks. But when I unfolded those yellowed survey maps, legal docs, and a lease contract I'd never seen, I realized he'd been prepping me for something hell of a lot bigger. Turns out, every mansion, every blade of imported Kentucky bluegrass, every backyard barbecue in Maplewood Estates, it was all built on land my family had leased out decades ago. And that lease? It had expired years back. Here's the kicker. Helena, who'd spent her morning taping violation stickers on my truck, was living on my land. And judging by the way her eyes darted to that envelope, she damn well knew it. That night, I dug even deeper, prying open my grandpa's old safe with the brass key. Inside, yellowed surveys, dust-caked folders, and a handwritten note. Land lease 1995 to 2035. Pinnacle Development defaulted 2005. The developer was supposed to pay rent, never did. And the best part? The only road in or out of Maplewood Estates wasn't even part of the lease. My family still owned it, free and clear. The whole neighborhood? Landlocked, unless I decided otherwise. So there I sat on my porch, coffee cooling, looking down at $1 million community built on a lie. I could almost hear my grandpa laugh. "This land's always ours, Jake." And for the first time in a long while, I realized he was right. The next day, I was elbows deep in county records, law books scattered across my kitchen table, partnering up with Maria Rodriguez, a courthouse clerk who knew her way around Texas property law and wasn't afraid to bend the rules if it meant the truth came out. The deeper we dug, the uglier it got. Lease violations, hidden documents, signatures that belonged to no one, a paper trail pointing straight at Helena herself. Not just Queen Bee, but bankruptcy trustee, too, keeping hundreds of families in the dark for years. Now, that explained the look she'd given me at the mailbox. Right on cue, Helena came knocking. Not alone, she had an attorney and a tow truck in tow, acting sugar-sweet and offering me a buyout. $800,000, she said, for a ranch worth millions. But buried in the fine print, I'd be taking on every legal mess she and her cronies left behind. My grandpa's warning echoed loud and clear. I refused. That was when the mask finally slipped. "You'll regret this, Jake Morrison," she spat, storming off. Pro tip: never trust someone who calls you family one day and a parasite the next. Well, if Helena wanted a war, I figured I'd give her one. I started making calls. "What's a private access road worth?" I asked, when it's the only way in or out of $1 million subdivision. Turns out quite a lot. The hospital down the road was hunting for an emergency route. We cut a deal, $2.1 million. No HOA approval required. By dawn, hospital barriers had popped up across the road. Ambulances cruised in and out. BMWs and Teslas not so much. That's when the fireworks really started. TV helicopters buzzed overhead, news vans lined the streets, and Helena, for all her bluff and bluster, couldn't talk her way past a security guard, let alone a news crew. Residents started asking hard questions about what they actually owned. Social media exploded. Folks started digging into county records on their phones and found out, live, in real time, that everything they thought they bought was just a pile of fancy paper. The twist? I had it all on tape. Lease documents, Helena's own voice admitting the fraud, projected big and loud for everyone to see at the community meeting. The room exploded. Margaret Foster, a schoolteacher, broke down sobbing. David Kim, a doctor, sat with his fists clenched, shaking with rage. Trust gone. Poof. That's when the cops showed up. Helena Whitmore, Queen Bee herself, arrested for fraud on live TV, paraded out in handcuffs while the very people she'd ruled for 2 decades watched her empire collapse. And me? I made the homeowners an offer. Buy the land for real, this time at a fair price. Most said yes. A few walked away. But the kingdom of Maplewood rebuilt itself on truth instead of lies. And for the first time in years, neighbors waved at me from their yards instead of glaring across picket fences. 6 months later, I'd set up the Morrison Truth Foundation, using every dollar from that road deal to help families caught in similar traps all across the country. Turns out, Maplewood wasn't unique. Land frauds everywhere, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone stubborn, or maybe just pissed off enough to shine a light. The foundation grew, case by case, fight by fight, making sure nobody else got suckered like we did. And Helena? 4 years in federal prison, a lifetime ban from real estate, plus restitution so steep she'll be paying it off long after the diamonds are gone. Her empire of sand? Gone a heartbeat. And justice, real, cinematic, deeply satisfying justice, rolled right over her like one of those ambulances on the new emergency road. The lesson? Arrogance is blind, but integrity plays the long game. My grandpa's advice, never trust a smile when there's money on the table, didn't just save my family's land. It saved hundreds of others, too. Because sometimes karma doesn't just knock. Sometimes it changes the locks, reroutes the traffic, and leaves the con artist stuck outside the gate, staring in at the mess they made. So, let me ask you, if you woke up and realized everything you'd worked for was built on a lie, would you go to war for the truth, even if it meant blowing up a comfortable illusion? Where do you draw the line between fighting for what's yours and forgiving the folks who got fooled, not just the ones doing the fooling? Drop your thoughts below. Was justice served? Did I go too far or not far enough? And if you've ever tangled with an HOA, a fraudster, or just plain old greed, I want to hear your story. Because, trust me, every community's got a secret.